Go, 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 go.
3, 2, 1, 4 tires.
Still there, inside.
What a jump! What a jump!
The track is wet. It's good.
Still there, clear.
3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Four and Fuel podcast. I'm your host, Dom Capilupo, joined by Steve Ray, Sam Dooley, and Wesley Riddle. We're here for a 2026 Duramax Grand Prix powered by Relodyne preview at COTA. Preview. Say that one about 3 times fast.
You could even say it one time at a normal speed, Dom.
Yeah,
are you okay? Did you need to take a break in the middle of that?
I'm winded. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick.
Yeah. Do we need to break the name of the race up into 3 stages?
Yeah, we might have to. Who's getting stage points for that one? Because I don't think I made it to the end there. But Circuit of the Americas this week, first road course, first non-super speedway type track of the season. Maybe get some, I wouldn't say authentic racing, but just some non-chaotic racing the whole time. And Steve, we've seen 5 races here and 5 different winners, and I mean we'll get into that later, but I think a track where maybe not so dominated by one person.
Yeah, not dominated by one person or one team necessarily. We've seen 5 different winners, and we'll get into that in a little bit, like you said. But definitely, COTA is a unique road course in itself. It's hard to compare it to anything else. There's just so much with elevation changes and the S's, and even going back to last year, they reconfigured the course and made it shorter, so it's not running on the traditional F1 course. Definitely made for, I feel like, some better racing last year, certainly without it taking forever and a day to get around there. So, yeah, it's not one that's going to be easily dominated by just one person, because we saw even last year or 2 years ago, there was a handful of drivers, probably 4 or 5 different guys that could have easily won the race, but fortunately one of them wins. So, yeah, it'll be fun. Circuit of the Americas is definitely a fun and unique road course for sure. And it's nice to have the first couple super speedways or drafting tracks behind us now. And now we can get into what some call the real meat of the schedule now.
Yeah, and good weather this weekend, so we're not going to see a repeat of 2021 where they're racing in a monsoon. As you mentioned, Steve, we got that shorter circuit, so we're getting 95 laps on Sunday, which seems very well. Just seemed like that backstretch just kind of seemed like, all right, we're like killing a minute here. Not much is happening. And now it seems like the whole track is a kind of more racy, and you see more action going on throughout and more passing opportunities, honestly. And outside of turn 1, less chaos. Because, I mean, Sam, turn 1 is going to be something on these restarts.
I mean, it's every time, like, since we've been going to COTA, it's been a big thing where you see them going, like 4, 5, 6 cars wide, even more. Like, as wide as the track is, there's that many cars, and there's some lunatic that's going to send it in on the inside just, because there's one more lane there, and they'll be in the grass. And it's kind of a joke, really, that it pisses me off a lot. Didn't they move the restart zone back to try to avoid that too? Or did they just do that at every other? Yeah, okay, they did it here too. And it's still kind of just an issue. I mean, it goes back to the topic. I believe Wes was talking about this in our last video about how there's just no give and take anymore. It's all just take. And that kind of shows itself in turn 1 at COTA. Everyone's trying to send their car in there and, blow up the field for 2 positions, and then you end up wrecked, and you're like, well, that's a terrible points day, but, you did it to yourself. It's a self-inflicted wound that you could avoid. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting seeing how how much the new point system has to do with if there's any etiquette. We've been without etiquette for a while because it's when you get in and it's kind of the Wild West. Let's see if points, tame anybody down, which I doubt it will happen. But, you can always hope that there won't be, 8 wide, dive bombs going into turn number 1 every restart.
Absolutely. And Wes, I was going to mention that Sam stole it right from underneath me. You mentioned that give and take, and these guys seem to lose that. We lose that every year. It feels like we lose it more and more. And I mean, do you expect anything less in turn 1 on these restarts, or you think we're going to be talking about that in our post race pod?
I think the way they've reshaped the restart zone definitely has helped and kind of mitigated what we used to see when turn 1 was just such a madhouse where you had, Sam kind of touched on it, just guys not giving and taking. And it caused for so much calamity. But now, especially the last race, a lot more calm, a lot more patient. I feel like obviously it comes with there being such more divide there in the final corner, and then they space out before they can even get a turn 1. But it definitely helps. I think though, this format, the way the new format is, the chase, I feel like drivers are a little more conscious though about what they're doing throughout the race than what they would during the playoffs. I could be wrong, but I feel like that kind of helps in moments where there could be more give and take, but obviously some drivers still don't have it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, if Carson Hocevar going in the green white checker is sitting 17th, is that going to stop him from barreling in there and taking out the 5th place driver? Because that's very possible going into turn 1 at this track. I mean, is that going to stop him? I mean, he's going to just say he was going for it and just needed more points.
Oh, why just stop at 5th? Go for the lead, man. You're not going to win the race from 17th. Just go straight for the lead.
Because I rewatched the ending of, I think it was the 2023 COTA race, and they had like 3 overtimes because you just look at them going in the funnel into turn 1, and you've got guys driving it from 20th all the way up. I think Chase Elliott was like 3rd and got wiped out by somebody who was 6 rows behind him going into turn 1. So, I mean, you hope that doesn't happen going into the end of this race. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens on the initial start. Someone gets spun out from a guy overdriving it, or just being way in over their head on the first lap, thinking they're gonna win the race on the first lap.
And it's so embarrassing to me too to see all of these guys that come in for these road courses, especially like COTA, where I can't remember for the life of me who the F1 champion was that came in a couple years ago for COTA.
No, Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah, and you have like F1 champions, you have IndyCar guys, like you have these other guys in the sport, and it's just embarrassing to me to watch that happen. Where you've got our regulars barreling in there 8 wide, like they're like a bunch of dumbasses, and like these actual drivers that actually know how to drive race cars, and turn left and right are like it's a bad impression in my eyes. Like, it just looks stupid because these guys came here to set fast laps and do everything that you're supposed to do, and we're showing them the dumb rednecks that everyone thinks that we are. That's exactly what we look like at tracks like COTA, where you just throw it in there and hope that it sticks into one, because like you said, you can go from 17th to 1st in the first quarter if you just knock someone out of the way and use them as brakes.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like we have too many just new entries, at least from like outside of the sport. We do have Jesse Love racing for RCR this week in the 33 car. And I think that's really it in terms of non-chartered cars. So losing that aspect, because we've had a multitude of drivers. We had oh my God, now his name's slipping me. Filled in for Chase Elliott.
Jordan Taylor.
Jordan Taylor. Yep. And I mean, he did good. These guys could set the laps, but I mean, they're just not used to getting it roughed up like these guys just throwing it into the corner. So we'll talk more about COTA here in a little bit, but just want to catch up on some news that's happened since we had our Atlanta post-race pod. Chris Gabehart, we did touch on the JGR side, but Chris Gabehart has officially responded to the claims from JGR, and essentially he laid out a whole sequence of events where basically Joe Gibbs Racing kind of took the competition director position kind of away from him and just kind of undermined his power. And basically, they forced him to be the crew chief for Ty Gibbs, which is not much, news for anyone that really kind of understands the sport. And basically, he said that Joe Gibbs gives special treatment to Ty Gibbs. So everyone just pick your jaws up off the ground because that is groundbreaking news. No one would have ever seen that coming. And basically, that's what sent Chris Gabehart to want to leave. And then Spire swooped him up basically to run the entire competition side of things. But the thing is, he there's still Joe Gibbs Racing was like you can't do a similar position, and Spire tried to cover that up, but it doesn't seem like there's enough to say that his position's really any different than what he was doing at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, and like you said, it was no surprise. Of course, Joe Gibbs is going to be heavily, heavily involved in the 54 team because it's his grandson. And guess what? Heather Gibbs, Joe Gibbs' daughter-in-law, Ty Gibbs' mom, is heavily involved with the senior leadership. So, yes, of course, Ty Gibbs, and I don't agree with it. I think definitely agree with Gabehart that Ty Gibbs should be treated and held to the same standards that the other three teams are. But let's just face the facts. Ty Gibbs's name is on the side of the building. He's a Gibbs, part of the family. So of course he's going to get some form of special treatment. That's why he's been able to get Gibbs rides with no problem throughout all the way from ARCA to where he is today. And yeah, so I could see it. And of course, Gabehart is like, if I'm going to be the head of competition, like I have to treat all four teams the same. I'm going to hold everybody to the same level of accountability. And it just did, from his side of things, it just did not seem that way. He was putting out statements saying that Ty Gibbs just either was late to meetings or just was absent altogether. And it was interesting. And if you listen to Dirty Mo Overdrive with Jordan Bianchi, he kind of touched on it as well. Ty Gibbs' name never gets mentioned in there. It's always just the driver of the 54, talking about the 54 team. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I thought things were going to get settled, and they probably still will. But if this thing goes all the way to court, it's going to get messy and ugly pretty quick because it's already reaching those types of levels.
Well, you already got, so when you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening in the morning on Spotify, later this afternoon, or if you've listened after or watched on YouTube after the fact, 1 p.m. scheduled for Friday, February 27th, is basically a preliminary injunction on Joe Gibbs filing it to say that Chris Gabehart can't work for Spire. And so that hearing's going to be Friday the 27th. So we'll see how that works out. If Chris Gabehart could even work for Spire or work for anybody, or because I think they were listing an 18-month basically just cease of, a cease of operation for Chris Gabehart. So we're going to see how that works. That's step one in the courts, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, if Ty Gibbs is slow this weekend, you can blame it on that, not the fact that he's bad at driving a race car. We're going to blame it on court and the preliminary injunction that is on Friday.
Well, I think if anything, if we've learned anything from NASCAR, is Ty Gibbs might just win this race this weekend with everything going around. So that's basically what we got on the Chris Gabehart side. We'll update or give our takes as things progress there. And one other big headline this week: the Dover All-Star Race. The format has been announced, or shall we call it the Dover Points Race without points? Because if you're watching on YouTube here, we've got the whole format laid out for you. Basically, there's 3 segments: a 75 lap segment, a 75 lap segment, and then a 200 lap segment to equal 350 laps. After the first segment, the top 26 will be inverted. And then after the second segment, they're going to then reset everybody for the final segment based off of their average finish in the first 2 segments. Now, that third segment will only have 26 drivers. But before that, anyone that has a cup car could just go in and race for at least 150 laps. And then the final stage will be set by winners from last year and this year, past champions, and all-star winners that are still full-time competitors. And then there's going to be a fan vote. And then the remainder are going to be set by average finish in the first 2 stages. And fans are finally going to get their 1 p.m. start. But, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. This is just a points race. They take away the open, which is honestly sometimes more exciting than the All-Star race. And basically, they're just going to group everyone together. We're going to have 30-something cars out there, and it's just going to be another Dover race.
Yeah, this is really stupid. I had actually read the words that were on the graphic. I had seen the graphic and I was like, "Oh, cool." Another thing I don't feel like reading and I won't understand if I even tried to. But this is like worse than I thought it was. Jesus Christ! Like, what you're gonna do? First of all, 350 laps. Like, that's the one thing I will say. The 200 lap stint. The one thing we were complaining about whenever Dover got announced was that Dover doesn't get good until they start dealing with lap traffic. Well, we should get lap traffic in a 200 lap stint. But Jesus, man, this is really confusing to me to try and understand. Like, this is the problem. We keep making, NASCAR keeps making it more confusing every year. It feels like this should be something that a casual fan or someone that's not a fan of NASCAR that sees it on there could click on and be like, wow, this is an exciting format. You know, they're doing some different things and they should be able to understand what's going on. I don't even understand what's about to happen. And I've been watching NASCAR for 24 years now. Like, this is bad. I don't like this.
Yeah, it was tough for me to understand also until I really had to sit down and like read it 3 or 4 different times to try to grasp it. Here's one little tweak that I would make they could literally leave everything the exact same, but if they just did not give everybody a participation trophy and did not let everybody partake in the actual All-Star race, but they just took one of the 75 lap segments and just made that the open. And then you have your All-Star race, which is 175 lap segment. You'd still do the invert, and then you run the invert at the 200 lap segment. You could literally just make that one little tweak, and it would make this format somewhat better. Not perfect, but it'd be somewhat more entertaining because somebody who has either never won or hasn't won an all-star race in the past, isn't a champion, didn't win a fan vote, didn't do anything deserving to be an all-star, doesn't deserve to be racing in the all-star race. Like, sorry, there's a reason why this race was so prestigious for so long, because you had to win to earn your spot in there. That's why the Clash was so cool for so many years, and now it's lost its prestige because they let everybody in. Not everybody should be allowed to be in this race. You need to earn your way in, either by winning the All-Star race or by winning a regular season race. If you want to throw in past champions, fine. If you want to do the fan vote, fine. But if we end up with 17 cars, then cool, we run 17 cars. We don't need the full field out there. And if you're going to run 350 laps, you might as well just make this a damn points race. I don't understand what's so hard about this. And also, I don't know why we're just not running it at Charlotte. I had the idea the other day on a TikTok. Let's just make it 75 laps at Charlotte, 100 laps at Charlotte, whatever you want to do. Short race at Charlotte the week before the 600, you want to tweak some things, let some teams do some crazy stuff, whatever, or just leave it alone, don't care. Gets a great preview for the 600. Why we need to run it at Dover and why we need to take a points race away from Dover is just beyond me. And it doesn't make any sense. And I don't like it. I just feel like they should have just left the points race at Dover alone.
The All-Star race used to always have inverts, and I feel like I saw some people on social media complaining about that, but again, that's not the problem. And both of you nailed it. I mean, it's just there's the prestige of the race is gone. And again, just like you said, Steve, there's too many participation trophies in NASCAR. I don't know if NASCAR mandates Hayek and Rick Ware Racing and Front Row and Haas Factory Team, if these teams to come out, or if they just have the option to no show. I feel like they probably would mandate it, and it's so stupid for them to even have to show up because that's just a waste of resources, a waste of team expense. I mean, it seems ridiculous for them to even have to go, and it's not a knock on them. It's just the fact that they have to show up for what, to run 25th or 26th and get, I mean, probably a small cash reward, but is it going to be enough to make up for the difference that they lost on driving up the road, right, and driving back down? It's silly. And again, it's an all-star race. What's all-star about having every driver? I mean, it's ridiculous. There's nothing else I can say other than it's I mean, the sign of it being Dover was kind of a indicator that things were a little bit strange here, and it just turned sour real quick.
And you talk about costs for those teams. This is a 3-day event. They're getting there Friday and they're practicing Friday, then they're qualifying on Saturday, and then racing on Sunday. So that means you got to have either hotel costs for all 3 days. You have to have travel costs for everyone to get up there Friday. And it's just a couple less days to work on cars that for more important races. And yeah, there's just nothing going to be prestigious about this. It's supposed to be a prestigious event. And at this point, get rid of it. Can the All-Star race. You already have one exhibition race in the Clash, and that one's already got scrutiny, with it. So just get rid of the All-Star race and do 37 points race, or just add another off week. I'm sure the teams won't complain about that. And I just hope Dover doesn't get hit for this, because this has nothing to do with Dover, and Dover deserves to have a points race. It's a unique racetrack and it's a unique market. And I've said this before last year, and the Northeast is getting killed when it comes to losing races. And it just seems like the NASCAR community doesn't care about the fans up here, and it's just all catered to the fans in the Southeast corridor of the country.
That might be part of the reason they filled it with everybody racing in the race, just to try to accommodate the market a little bit better, being able to present your drivers up there. But again, it's just not the point of the race. If call it something different, don't call it an all-star race, because at this point it's not.
Yeah. Just make it a 37th points race. Honestly, if you did it right now, no one would complain. If you just said, all right, well, this is just gonna be a points race, and no one will care. And then an all-star race, you think of it as a night race. Dover can't run a night race, and now you run it even earlier in the day at 1 o'clock. I mean, people are gonna honestly go there and want to tailgate more, and now you're taking away tailgating time from the Dover fans, because again, what are you gonna do for the fans up there? And I feel bad. Dover's just been put in a bad spot, and I hope it just, again, I hope fans show up to support Dover, so it doesn't lead to it getting removed from the schedule completely, because that would be a detriment to the Northeast, and you would probably get some upset fans that may just leave, like, being fans of the sport.
Yeah, their saving grace for this weekend, for the All-Star race weekend, is having the trucks and O'Reilly series there. If it was just the Cup race doing this All-Star gimmick, I wouldn't blame anybody for not showing up. But the fact that they are doing a triple header weekend so that fans that are going do get to see some other racing potentially, that's their saving grace from this All-Star weekend.
Yeah. So that's the Dover All-Star race. I'm sure we'll talk about it more when Dover gets closer. But we've got some COTA to talk about. Not going to rename the whole start the race title. You heard me butcher it at the beginning. So for me to make it to the end of this podcast, I cannot say the title of the race. So, like we said before, five races so far there, 5 different winners. We've had Chase Elliott win in 21. In 22, it was Ross Chastain. 23, it was Tyler Reddick. In 24, it was William Byron. And last year, it was Christopher Bell. With that being said, I think the odds are pretty high to get a sixth winner in 6 races there. You have drivers like SVG, Connor Zilish up there who haven't won, and other names as well that have run well there and on road courses in general, like a Ty Gibbs. So to expect there, last year's finish was great. A very clean finish between 4 drivers: Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick. You'd hope to see some more of the same this year, but we'll just have to see who the players are up in the front. And I mean, hopefully we have a good battle for the win. But honestly, just a good natural race is maybe what the series needs to kind of propel itself into some more normal racing.
Yeah, like we talked about, 5 different winners over the course of 5 different races, and really, it's been back and forth between Chevy and Toyota, Reddick and Bell being the 2 Toyota drivers, and then Elliott, Byron, and Chastain being the 3 Chevy winners. So Ford's still looking for their first win on the COTA road course in the Cup Series. Unfortunately, just the Penske cars really haven't done much here the last couple of years. So, yeah, it's hard to pick because last year it was a showdown between Bell, Kyle Busch, SVG was up there for a bit. So there's really no one clear cut dominator to try to make any sort of predictions off of this. And then it is, super, super technical through there. And there are some runoff areas. And that's the other thing that teams have to watch out for is these runoff areas, especially through the S's. You get too far to the left or too far to the right, NASCAR is going to call a penalty. So you could have a guy, setting himself up for a great day and then get a course cutting penalty, and that ruins the whole thing. So there's a lot more than just the racetrack itself. There's a lot of variables that go into it. And then certainly, like we touched on at the beginning of the episode, turn 1 on restarts is just calamity corner. Chase Elliott got wiped out at the start by Ross Chastain last year. So, and that can hurt you right away in the first stage. So, yeah, certainly not as predictable as our first 2 races were for sure.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Turn 6, they're gonna monitor that turn more in terms of course penalties for running off or kind of extending the course. Hopefully, it doesn't come down to that at the end of the race and cost us a good battle because someone kind of barely crossed the line. Hopefully, that's not too much in play. But on restarts, for sure, watch for a lot of potential penalties for running off course through the S's section for sure. Now, let's jump into segments. And our first one will go to Wesley's way back moment.
Well, I can't go really way back. There's not a lot for us to pull from. Dom, you said go back to what, Texas World Speedway? Shoot, nah, I couldn't even tell you one race from there. But well, look, I guess the only race that I could really remember well that I feel like I watched all the way through was honestly the first race, and it was probably the most forgotten COTA race, and that's the one where Chase Elliott won, and it was cut short because it absolutely poured down rain. It started raining, I think, at the drop of the green flag, and pretty much carried out throughout the entire race and worsened as the race went on. But just a few like points from that race. I remember Austin Cindric. It looked like, this rookie, this young kid just came out of nowhere and was going to be the hot shot in NASCAR because he was able to go out there and put down some insane lap times to start that race in the rain. And even as the race went on, he didn't get a good finish at the end of the day. I don't remember what happened, but I remember just how fast he was there at the start and how well he qualified. And Cindric still, obviously still competing, still pretty content, and could obviously win on Sunday. He's definitely going to be a contender if the Fords do have some speed. But Chase Elliott, that was his first win back after winning the championship in 2020. But a lot of people just remember the wrecks, that how the rain impacted some of those wrecks were massive. Like the biggest one was Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Custer, where I think Truex ran in the back of Michael McDowell, and Truex got so much front end damage that was it caused him to be so slow, and then Cole Custer ended up piling into him from behind, and Custer almost hit the wall like head on, kind of similar to Cody Ware's wreck at Chicago last year. So that was a vicious wreck. I think Christopher Bell drove underneath Ryan Blaney. Bubba Wallace drove underneath Kevin Harvick. Like it was just absolutely ridiculous. But just a wild race. I could have picked something more recent, but that's not way back. So 21 had to be way back enough.
Also, wasn't that the one where they started doing the mud flaps or rain flaps or whatever afterwards? Because that spray was like so bad. I remember like the next time that they put the rain tires on, I'm pretty sure that they were like, yeah, because COTA was like you could not see it. It was a safety issue, like Wes talked about with those wrecks. I'm pretty sure that was the one that made them start putting the little like rain mud flaps on the back of the car to like try and keep the spray down.
That sounds right. I feel like there were just so many safety concerns that were drawn after NASCAR did try to do that race in the rain, but they couldn't really predict the heaviness of it. So if I think you could be right with that. Looking back, it was just interesting to look at some of the guys that raced that we kind of forget about were in the field 5 years ago, like James Davison. I mean, I don't know how many races he ran, but it was definitely more than like I felt like 15 or 20, and he was, he was in that race. And then you got guys like, gosh, Kyle Tilley, early Cody Ware, Garrett Smithley was racing in Cup. Like it's kind of weird to look back on and see some of those guys. And that was gosh, Ty Dillon and the Gaunt brothers 96. Of course, Quinn Half, our hometown hero here. It's yeah, crazy.
Yeah, that was that race that Chase Elliott. I feel like they handed to Chase Elliott
They
because
did not hand it to
that
him.
was Kyle Larson's win, and then
They
they
did
just
not hand it to him.
and then all of a sudden Chase Elliott hadn't pit yet, and then all of a sudden now there's too much rain and too much water on the track. Then now we got to bring out the
Oh my
caution and
god,
call
that
it.
is it. Oh wow, yeah, that was bad. I remember that was bad. Ooh.
There was standing water on the track.
Yeah, there was
Yeah, for
there
the
was,
for the past 30 laps, and
yeah,
then
there was
all of a
standing
Oh,
water
sudden
yeah.
the
once
whole
Chase
time.
It was
Elliott's
in the
cycle was
middle of a
delayed.
hurricane. When have you seen a hurricane in Texas? Well, it happened that day. And
I mean,
Chase Elliott just happened to be in the lead. Stop.
I've seen
Don't
a
start the
hurricane
they
in
threw the
Atlanta last
caution
week.
for
because they
Chase
threw
Elliott.
that caution a lap after. Who was it? Someone was leading, and he had just passed Chase Elliott had just passed him in pit. I
Well,
forget who was
Bowman
it.
had just
Was
come
it
down pit
Bowman?
road.
Was it
Yeah.
Bowman? So they could have thrown that caution 2 laps earlier, and Bowman would have won. But the second he pits, now the caution's got to
You
come out. We
guys
got to
with
call it.
no. You guys
Everyone
with
get
your
your tinfoil hats on.
Yeah, get your
Comment down
tinfoil
below. What do
hats.
you think? I have a feeling. I know
No,
whose
they
side
did not
everyone's going
throw
to be
it
on.
for Chase Elliott. Stop it. I will say the big thing that I remember from that race, on top of Chase Elliott winning that race, was Kurt Busch almost taking out his brother and Austin Dillon, and somehow within a micro inch of both cars, just
Yeah, that
missing
was
both of them. And then on top, what was more impressive was just driving through the gravel trap and somehow getting out of it. Just it looked like he was going to wipe out the 18 car and the 3 car and somehow shot the gap between both of them and did get stuck. That was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a NASCAR race.
yeah. So yeah, Chase Elliott took the win from Larson, or NASCAR took the win from Larson, gave it to Chase Elliott. And so that's your 2021 Echo Park Grand Prix. A lot easier to say that race title. Why couldn't that have been the case this year? But thanks, Wes. That's our moment. We'll see what you got next week for Phoenix. I'm sure you could dig deep for that one. A lot deeper than COTA for sure. That takes us into Steve Stumps the Field trivia, where someone's leading the points here 2-0. Don't know who that could be, but
All right, well, let's see if you can make it 3 for 3 here. Let me get this pulled up here. So, our man SVG won 5 road courses last year. His total amount of wins on road courses is 6. So that got me to thinking of looking at the all-time wins leaders on road courses. And there's 11 drivers that have 5 or more wins on road courses in NASCAR history. So today we're going to go through those 11 drivers. Actually, I'll give you a freebie because SVG is one of those guys. So now there's 10 drivers to name who have 5 or more road course wins. There are going to be obviously some easy answers in here, but some that kind of made my eyebrow raise. So, Dom, you're leading the points, so you're going to go last here. I'm going to make that decision there. Wes, we're going to start with you and then go Sam and Dom, and we'll go around. Just give me a driver and see where he lands.
Well, I definitely won't say Dale Earnhardt. He only won 1. So I'll take Jeff Gordon.
Oh, took the low-hanging fruit. Jeff Gordon
Yeah.
is still the GOAT of road courses with 9
The best there
wins,
is.
5 at
Yep.
Sonoma and 4 at Watkins Glen. Jeff Gordon is off the board.
So that goes over to me now.
It goes over to you, yes.
I'm gonna go Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart, second on the leaderboard with 8 wins, 5 of them at Watkins Glen and 3 at Sonoma.
All right, I'll take Chase.
And Chase is third on there with 7 wins, 2 at the Roval, 2 at Watkins Glen, the 2021 COTA winner, 1 at the Daytona Road Course, which I would like for them to bring back sometime, and 1 at Road America, which I would also like for them to bring back sometime. All right, Wes, back over to you. We're tied at 1 apiece.
I feel like Kyle Busch might have 5.
Kyle Busch actually has 4. He does not have
Ooh.
5 wins on a
So how
road
we
course.
doing? Is we doing strikes, or are we just gonna do who gets the most?
We'll just do who gets the most.
I'm gonna go with Martin Truex Jr.
Martin Truex did sneak in on this list.
Oh,
I was gonna say they should all be like Sonoma, aren't they?
Yep, there are 3 drivers that have 5 wins, and Martin is one of them. 4 of them at Sonoma and 1 at Watkins Glen for his 5.
jeez, yeah, man. I feel like it shouldn't be this difficult, this quick. Oh my God, who was good back in the day? Has Larson done it? I mean, that's not back in the day, but has Larson done it? I'll throw him out there. Larson.
Larson did make the list, surprisingly, because that's what made me go, Larson on the list? And sure enough, he is, because he has 2 wins at the Roval, 2 at Sonoma, and 2 at Watkins Glen. He has 6 wins. So Kyle Larson is off the board. We're down to 5 drivers now, and Wes, throwing it back over to you.
Mark Martin.
Mark Martin, surprisingly, was not on the list. For how good Mark was, he did not make this list either.
Jeff Gordon just took everything from poor Mark.
Yes.
It was a tough
Yeah, he
time
was.
for Mark.
Didn't
Martin,
Mark finish like second, like every time Jeff Gordon won those road courses? I feel like
basically,
I
like,
think
there was.
Obviously, that's just the story of Mark Martin's life, though, because he started and then Dale Earnhardt happened, and then he continued his career and Jeff Gordon happened, and then he was old and had a shot in 09 and Jimmy Johnson happened. It's like that poor guy, he would have been the greatest if he had started 10 years earlier or if he would have quit about 10 years later.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But
All right, Sam, we're sitting with you here.
Takes it over to me. Who I can't really think of anyone that was just like that. I'm gonna go Jimmy Johnson because he was really good at everything.
But he was not good enough to get 5 wins at road courses. Jimmy Johnson did not make the list.
He only got 1, I think.
He had that Sonoma win, and I think that is probably
I distinctly remember
because he never
the one
won
win.
at the Glen.
I distinctly remember the one win at Sonoma, and that like I guess that was the only one. He just won everywhere else, so I just in my brain, my child brain, just associated him winning everywhere.
Yeah. I will say, to give you a hint, I mean, none of these remaining 5 drivers are active, and some of their wins came at Riverside.
I was like watching a YouTube video maybe a few weeks ago about this guy, and they said he was a sneaky good road course racer. So I'm gonna throw him in there. Tim Richmond.
Tim Richmond has 5 wins on a road course, 4 of them at Riverside and 1 at Watkins Glen. So our score is sitting at 1 for Wes, 2 for Sam, and 3 for Dom.
I'll take the other kind of big road course ringer. I'm pretty sure this guy definitely has 5. Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd actually has 6. Yes, you're right, Wes. 2 of them at Riverside, 2 at Sonoma, and 2 at Watkins Glen. I believe his final career win came at Sonoma as
Sonoma
well.
in 2002.
Yep. And he should have had a 7th, but he got it taken away.
That's right.
So we're down to 3 remaining drivers.
God,
Back over to you, Sam.
I just don't have the road course bag for this.
Joey Logano is not on the list.
Oh man,
tell you
who would
that.
have guessed that? I'm gonna go. He wasn't good at road courses. I don't. I'm gonna go with Bobby Labonte. Let's see.
Bobby Labonte did not make the
Yeah,
list.
I didn't think so. I didn't feel good about that one.
Nor did his brother. Terry Labonte's not on this list either.
So he says Bobby. And Bobby Allison's got a lot of wins. Were any of them road courses? I don't know, but I'm gonna throw Bobby Allison out there.
That was a good guess because 6 of them, all 6 at Riverside too, made the list. So when you said Bobby, Sam, I was hoping that you're going to say Allison. And
I was
Labonte.
thinking I had Davey Allison in my head the whole time, but I knew because of the tragic shortening of his career that he couldn't be there. But I couldn't think of. I didn't get to Bobby for some reason.
All right, Wes, we're back over to you. We have a 5-time Riverside winner and a driver that's won at Riverside, Sonoma, and Watkins Glen.
I don't feel like he was good on road courses. I'm floating between 2 names. I'll try Bill Elliott. I don't think he did though.
I don't think not 5 times or more. Bill did not make the cut for this list.
I'm gonna go with Darrell Waltrip. How is he on?
Hey, we have a winner of this round. Darrell Waltrip. Yes, he is the 5-time Riverside winner. So we're down to 1 driver.
So what are we at? 4-2-2?
We're at 4-3-2, if my arithmetic is correct here.
Yeah, because there's 10. So all right. So I don't have this locked up just yet. So I gotta try to get this. My God. I don't think Richard Petty was like that. I know my logic of wins.
He's not that guy.
I don't think Richard Petty was like that on these road courses.
I just don't think he had enough road courses that he ran. Because when did they even start with road courses?
I mean, I'd be just with Richard Petty. I mean, you can only build the car enough to beat the diner owners. I'm sure the diner owners could beat him on the road courses. They took all the chances they could get to beat him there. I'm sure David Pearson just didn't run the road courses because they never really ran the full schedule. You know what? A few weeks ago, like I said, over the off season, I was watching all these year in review documentaries and stuff back when Gordon was winning championships. And one guy they mentioned had a good average finish on road courses that helped him in the points. I'm gonna go Rusty. Go Rusty Wallace. Just throw him out there.
Dang. All right. Well, throw another win up on the board for Dom.
Wow.
Rusty is the 6-time winner, 2 at Riverside, 2 at Sonoma, and 2 at Watkins Glen.
Wow, evenly spread out there.
So yeah, well that was fun. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there were definitely a handful of guys that had 4 wins, 3 wins, things like that. But as far as 5-time winners, yeah, definitely some that the Larson one shocked me. I do not think of Larson as a road course guy, but yeah, he has the 6 wins, and then guys like Daryl, all of them came at Riverside. The one that stuck out to me, if his career, if he didn't unfortunately pass away, Tim Richmond was going to win a lot more races. He was like the early version of a road course ace. It would have been fun to watch him more, but so that's our trivia for the week. And Dom takes a commanding 3-0 lead in the points.
All right. Well, Tyler Reddick, if I can go 3 for 3, you'll have to do it too, buddy. But that'll take us to underdogs, and we're not talking about Tyler Reddick and underdogs. So underdogs of the week. I'm gonna start this one out. I'm sure I don't know if anyone else had this guy in mind, but I'm looking at Todd Gilliland. You look at his stats at COTA, they're not too shabby. He's sitting there with 4 starts, a 15.5 average finish, and he's got 2 top 10s in his 4 starts, 3 top 20s, and that's even with an average start of 25th. So he just moves forward. He may not qualify, set the fast lap, but he moves forward. He seems to stay out of trouble at COTA, and he's a name where, he might be a little surprising, but don't be surprised if he's in that 10th to 15th range towards the end of the race Sunday.
Well, that's certainly an underdog, if I would say so. My underdog of the week is going to be, we talked about him in the 2021 race, battling Chase Elliott towards the end. It's going to be Alex Bowman, actually. Just pulling up some statistics here but it seems like every race that we go to COTA, Bowman is up there. I mean, he's finished every race from 2021 on every race that we've been there. All 5 races, he's finished inside of the top 10. The laps led hasn't been there, only 3 laps led, but 5 races, 5 top 10s. He is kind of a sneaky, decent road course racer, at least for COTA standards. So I'm going to say my underdog of the week is going to be Alex Bowman.
And that leads it to me. Well, Bowman was going to be my underdog of the week, but now that that was taken, it's really hard to pick underdogs because everyone's either a good road course racer like a McDowell that's just in like a Spire car where you wouldn't necessarily think they'd take a win, which that's not really an underdog, or someone like I'm gonna go Ty Gibbs, even though it's a Gibbs car. I still consider him an underdog because he hasn't gotten that first win. He hasn't been doing great. Obviously, we know what he can do on road courses, and if he could actually like keep 4 tires on it and not wreck the car, like I can't remember what race it was. It felt like he had it in the bag last year. I believe it was a road course. I can't remember. There was a race where we thought he was going to get his first one. And so, yeah, I think Ty Gibbs is going to pull it out this week.
Yeah, Mexico City is what you're thinking. He actually went toe to toe with SVG, and there was definitely a stretch in that race where it looked like that he was actually going to beat SVG straight up.
And my underdog is going to be Zane Smith. He won the 2022 race in the Truck Series, went on to win the championship that year, then won at COTA the year after, led the most laps in that race. And then, of course, this season, started the year back-to-back top 10s. He's one of only 3 drivers with back-to-back top 10s. And that's pretty impressive, just the fact that we were on super speedways for both. And he was able to still execute for Front Row, which is a team that definitely comes in with a lot lower of a budget than some of these other teams. So I think Zane can run really well. And the strategy, of course, with how the chase works out this year, it's going to be different because you saw a lot of guys try to flip it just to get the win, in previous road course races. Now it's not win and get in. So I feel like you're going to see, I don't know, a little more variation in strategy, and it could help a guy like Zane Smith.
Absolutely. So, just a quick recap: underdog drivers. I had Todd Gilliland, Steve had Alex Bowman, Sam had Todd Gibbs, and Wes had Zane Smith. And that takes us into the fantasy draft, where currently Sam is just he's taking a 26-point lead over Steve, and then Wes is 40 back, and then might as well just be a million back, but it's 67 points back. Not a good start for me, and a great start for Sam. And guess who gets to go first this week?
Well, we
The
might as well
rich
just
get
jump right over
richer.
to the second pick because we know who's going first.
I'm gonna take. Well, when he was in the Xfinity series, he was my dad's favorite driver. Now he's his second favorite driver because my dad loves Bubba Wallace. But Shane Van Gisbergen, my dad, it's one of the few hats that my father actually owns because he does not buy many things for himself. But I think I got him to get an SVG hat whenever we were in Sonoma 2 years ago. So I'm going to go with Shane Van Gisbergen.
All right, I got a couple guys I can go here, but I'm gonna go with a guy that needs points desperately after the finish at Atlanta last week. Give me defending winner Christopher Bell.
Interesting. I thought you were going a different direction than what you did.
He's in the basement with me, so we're gonna have to both
Hey,
claw our
there you
way
go.
out here. So
Yeah, what, he's 31st in points, and
yeah,
you might as well be
I'm
31st in points. All right, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Wes, you're up.
I'll take William Byron.
Byron, solid pick. Well, I will take old Connor. What's his name? Zillbilly. I want to take Zillbilly in the
The
88
purple
car.
one.
The purple one, yes. Cool. You think they went to? What do you think Connor's order at Wendy's is?
I don't
But
know,
I'm
but I really hope he doesn't dip his fries in his Frosty. That's kind of gross.
well, he better not. He
no,
better not.
Connor definitely does.
No,
Hell,
he's not
because
a
he's a man of
savage.
culture. No, he's a man
No,
of culture.
he's not ridiculous.
For those of you that don't understand our close personal niches, me and Dom are very anti dipping fries in Frosty, and Steve is very pro dipping fries in Frosty. I believe Wes is kind of in the middle. I don't think he has a strong opinion either way. So we are. That's the sides of the war that we're on. If you guys want to let us know what side of the war you're on Frosties and fries, that would be spectacular.
Well, on my return trip, starting our second round here, I'm going to take my underdog of the week. I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. Try to make it 6 for 6 on top 10s at COTA in his career.
I'm gonna take Tyler Reddick.
I can't believe he made it that far.
I can't believe I spaced on Reddick.
Now
I'm disappointed in myself.
I'm chomping at the bit, thinking, man, did these guys all just forget about Tyler Reddick? I was about to get him
I
second
sure
pick.
did. I sure did. Shame on me.
You know, a guy who's really good, and he's really just consistent at these road courses. And they put out a stat: he's got the longest streak of lead lap finishes at road courses. Chris Buescher. 40 consecutive finishes on the lead lap at road courses, and I'm sure I just jinxed him. So
That's insane. That is what I'm looking at this. Like 4 picks in a row that were like I had SVG and then I was like, I want this guy, this guy, this guy in like the order that they were selected. So that's pretty fun. So who do I have now? Shoot. I'm thinking on the fly now. I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson, who snuck into our trivia question. And then no one has the 9. I'm gonna go Chase Elliott.
Jesus, what a lineup. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch.
And I'll take Todd Gillen. Or Dom, did you take him?
No, that was my underdog.
Or your underdog, yeah.
I'm going to take a shot on a Penske car. It hasn't worked out well for me so far, but I'll take Austin Cindric.
All right. So just to recap, in fourth place in the points is myself. My lineup this week is Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, and Kyle Busch. Third place in points, Wes. His lineup is William Byron, Tyler Reddick, and Todd Gilliland. Second in points, Steve is rolling with Connor Zilish, Alex Bowman, and Austin Cindric. And your points leader, Sam, is going with SVG, Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott. Well, let's wrap things up here, boys. Final thoughts about COTA. Like I said, hope for just a good, clean finish, just like last year. That was an awesome finish to watch. Hopefully, we don't get 20 restarts, in the third stage and just a bunch of dive bombs and a bunch of wrecked race cars. You'd hate to see someone run top 10 all day and get wiped out from a car 10 rows back and you lose 30 points. And then that's the ultimate reason why, say someone like Chris Buescher misses the chase later on this season.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun race for sure. Historically, this is SVG's worst road course, which his poor results at COTA is better than some guys' best finishes at COTA. But there were multiple drivers that were able to keep up or be ahead of Shane the last year or two that we've ran at COTA. So I think if anybody's got a shot to beat SVG, it's going to be at COTA here. And it's going to be really fun to see kind of the cat and mouse game that's played, not only between trying to chase stage points versus the win, but also the field versus SVG.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to watch COTA. It'll be really interesting to see St. Pete this weekend too, with the trucks and IndyCar doing their doubleheader. That's a really cool thing to see. It's Franchitti that's doing the truck race, correct? In one of the Tricon trucks. So that'll be a fun one to watch too. I don't know exactly the schedule that they have, but that's 2 Saturday races that are going to be on, actual Buddy Years TV. So those should draw some big viewership and should draw a big crowd to St. Pete. It'll be really interesting to see, but didn't really touch on that, so I just wanted to touch on that in the last minute here before we head out.
Yeah, you also have Colin Brown, doing that race as well in that 25 truck. So good to see him back in the truck series. He used to be in the truck series back in the heyday of the truck series. I felt like in the late 2000s in that 6 truck. So good to see him back in the truck series after going and doing sports car racing and this is his bread and butter. So hopefully he could have a good run and compete up there along with Dario Franchitti as well. So that will be an interesting thing.
James Hinchcliffe in one of the Spire trucks as well.
That's right. And then another guy, finally his first, I feel like legit opportunity, Landon Lewis. He's going to be, the next generation coming in. And I feel like his last couple truck rides, weren't the best situation, but this is going to be a real test for him. But also I feel like a shot for him to go out there and win. He's that good. And then same with Brent Cruz, who's finally going to start his full-time season in Xfinity. I say full-time from now on to the rest of the year, but he can go out there and win his first race. It wouldn't be a shock.
Yeah, and you have Zilich and SVG both doing O'Reilly this weekend as well with Ross Chastain. So you have some Cup guys in there as well. Should make for an entertaining race in O'Reilly. Just as it is, and you'll see Carson Quaffle in the 91, so don't think he's not racing in that one car. He isn't in the one car, but he will be in the 91 for DGM. So just, don't get too worried if you don't see Carson in the one, because he's still racing, still competing for that championship. I know you were a little worried, Steve. I just don't want you to be freaking out Saturday.
Yeah, I just wanted to have close to the speed that the true JRM cars want. That's just all I'm asking for. He is actually, speaking of Carson, he almost beat Zilich. If it wasn't for a flat tire last year, he was going to go toe-to-toe with Zilich. So he is a sneaky good road course racer. Keep an eye on him.
Another guy I saw I didn't even know he was making his debut, but in the O'Reilly race, Tyler Gonzalez, he finished, I think, runner up, or he was really good in the Mazda MX-5s, and that's of course what Connor competed in before he stepped in. But Tyler was really good at Mazda, and I think won a few times. So he's going to be a guy to keep an eye out for. Although Hettinger Racing, a little bit newer for program, it might not be the best car, but just a real stout young kid that's coming up that could have a shot, getting a full-time round one day.
All right, plenty of headlines here. I mean, all weekend. Oh yeah, from trucks to O'Reilly to Cup. If you're able to watch, I would. It's just an exciting racing weekend for road courses. And so, and again, if you aren't following us yet, I don't know why you aren't. Forward Fuel Podcast everywhere. Just hit 7,000 followers on Facebook. Really appreciate every one of you for going over there and supporting us there. If you haven't already, Instagram, Twitter, uh, TikTok, and YouTube, subscribe. Shoot us some comments. We've been getting some interaction this weekend. Some good, some bad.
Hey Sam, are you gonna go hit up that Pizza Hut buffet?
Oh, 100%. I'm excited for the Pizza Hut buffet. Dear Lord, baby Jesus, I'd like to thank you for this bountiful feast in front of me: a Pizza Hut, Mountain Dew, Powerade.
Also, before we send us out here, Steve, what was the order today at Arby's? I saw you had Arby's.
Yeah, a meat and three combo. It's more meal for your money. I cannot get that out of my head. It was that order. I went with the crispy chicken sandwich, and then of course it comes with curly fries, 2-piece mozzarella stick, the peach roll cobbler, and then I got a diet Dr. Pepper with my small drink. And it was 10 out of 10 as always at Arby's.
And last question before we head out, was the peach better than the Bowberry hockey puck?
Oh, dude. Anything was better. I could go outside and eat a rock, and that would be better than the Bowberry hockey puck that we got at Bojangles in Charlotte last year. But yes, on a real note, very good. The peach roll cobbler thing at Arby's, very good.
All right. That's all we got here for Wes, Sam, Steve. I'm Dom. We'll see you after COTA.